Hi guys, it's Abby. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm talking about progressed sun in Taurus and progressed sun in the second house. So I will leave a timestamp in the description box below if you want to skip right to progressions through the second house. I'm not going to go into this video what progressions are, so if you have any questions on what a progression is, what your progressed sun means, and how to calculate yours, I did a video on intro to solar progressions and I will link it in the description box below, or you can go to my playlist section and go into the progressed sun playlist and it will be there. There's only 5 signs that can experience a progressed sun in Taurus. So those are natal Tauruses, Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, and if you're very lucky and you live to a ripe old age and you're born at just the right time, Capricorn. I'm really excited to do this video because I'm a late in season Aries and I went through my Taurus progression, so I just got out of it a few years ago. So I feel like I have the most to say about this subject. This will definitely be the longest video I do in this series. This progression can affect your throat, your vocal cords, anything having to do with the mouth, the nose, the ears. That's all the realm of Taurus. Now, if you are a natal Aries, if you go into this in the beginning of your life, so maybe you were like me, born in the last part of Aries. I was born on April 13th, so my sun is at 23 degrees Aries. So I went into this progression when I was like just before my 7th birthday. And obviously I went into my Gemini progression in my late 30s. So I had the full 30 years right in basically the first part of my life. If you are an early season Aries, so you were born in March, for example, you're not going to go into this progression until your 20s. The energy of going from natal Aries into your Taurus solar progression is going from war to peace. This is going from Mars to Venus, quite literally. So it is an opposing energy. So as Aries, we're very used to being very warring, aggressive, assertive, direct. We make a lot of mistakes. We're impulsive, spontaneous. We literally leap before we look. Taurus is the bull. So this is a slowing down, a stabilizing, grounding energy that we desperately need at some point. And you will go through this as long as you don't have some sort of a tragic death as a child or as a kid. You will go through this and you have to, because Aries, we have so many ideas, so much vision, so much potential, so much inspiration. We're constantly having ideas, and yet we just don't have any way to materialize them unless we already have heavy earth energy in our chart or like a lot of fixed energy in our chart. You do have to be careful about overeating and overweight. I'm not a fat shamer. I think you can be healthy and you can be overweight at the same time, but you just want to be conscious of it so you have control over it. The major part of this is the activities and the people that you're surrounding yourself with. So if you are an early season Aries and you go into this in your 20s, it will affect your career choices. If you already have gone through it earlier, it will affect your career choices, because what happens is, as Aries, we try this and we don't follow through, and we try this and we try this and we try this. We love to try things. When you go into this progression, you start to want to just pick a few things or one thing and just see it through. You can actually become really sort of obsessive over one thing. Like I became obsessive over astrology, amongst other things. And it's like we want to overindulge in stuff with that Taurus energy. So it might be, I was really into music and performing when I was in high school. So I would become obsessive over certain music genres, and music is part of the sensual nature of Taurus as well. Because Taurus represents values, we tend to start to want to surround ourselves with people that represent our own values. So prior to this, Aries doesn't really have a focus on values. It has a focus on survival. So what we're doing in the past before this progression is just simply survival based. Once anybody goes into a Taurus progression, it's values inside, and we want those values to reflect outside. Value also means money. So if you, for example, go into this in your 20s, you might have had different career aspirations, maybe ones that were more creative, performative, athletic. You're going to go for the thing that will give you the steady paycheck, or the thing that has the most job security that can get you real estate, because that's what Taurus is all about. You also are going to be a hard worker. Taurus is also all about routines. So Aries is very sporadic and routines are not in our nature. Once you go into this progression, you're going to love a routine. So getting up at the same time every day, knowing what to expect in your schedule, knowing what to expect in your work schedule as you get into your work life in your 20s. Like you're gonna want that 9 to 5 eventually. Even if you work, let's say in retail or something, maybe something to do with like clothes or products, which is very Taurus energy, you just aren't gonna enjoy the instability of having those, like the late nights and then the wraparound shift where you get up early. I had to do that for a long time. It's going to be eventually take a toll on you, and you're going to want something that's like, I can get up at the same time every day. I can work out at the same time every day. I can eat the same foods every day. It's just that sort of nature that actually Aries can start to suffer from, because we need change and spontaneity and creativity. So we can even fall into a rut of our own making under this progression. You might get really into anything having to do with food, the production of it. So it's all about like gardening, growing food, cooking. I got really into cooking at like very early age, like around 9 or 10. And obviously the eating, as I already mentioned. Something you do want to watch out for is overindulging in substances, because Taurus loves anything that makes it feel like relaxed and calm. So obviously drinking, and especially cannabis, is going to be something that you might be drawn to. When you think about rams in the wild, like headbutting, it's usually a really quick fight and then it's over. Whereas Taurus, the bull, is way more patient. And this is the progression that's teaching us patience. So now if you're a Pisces sun, you'll go into this progression after the 30 years that you go through your Aries solar progression. So if you are a very late in season Pisces, at the end of Pisces season you're born, you're going to almost immediately go into your Aries for 30 years. So you won't go into this one until you're in your 30s, basically. If you are an early season Pisces, so you were born, let's say, at the end of February, it will take you up to 20-something years to go into your Aries. So you won't be going into your Taurus progression until you're in your 50s, potentially. So for you, a lot of your identity has already been established, and you've just come out of a period of learning how to assert yourself and how to like be direct. This is now getting back to your natural, more feminine energy. It's more of like a let's chill. So if you have a career that's been unstable or it has been exciting, you're gonna want something that is stable as anything, the steady paycheck, the 401k, the good benefits. It might have something to do with money, food, retail services, like material things. It could even be something to do with construction, because Taurus is the sign of building. So any of those realms, very Taurian in nature. Even something to do with like wine or drinking, like I want to say maybe bartending, but also like selling alcohol of some sort. So you might be more attracted to a career shift into one of those areas. Or if you're a later, like if you're an early season Pisces and you go into this progression later in life in your 50s, this might be a career you have as you're winding down from your original career. But in any case, you're gonna just want that steady, like I'm just gonna go, I'm gonna show up at the same time. I know what to expect. I know what my paycheck is going to be. This is also the time you're going to be looking to invest, and you should. And you're going to be looking to purchase real estate if you haven't already. You might be looking to purchase more real estate, because that's what Taurus loves. It's that tangible investments. Also, as a Pisces, you're going to be probably interested in like art investment, because that's right up your alley. It's something that you will have a natural creative flair for, but it will also be money in the bank for you. You might be an entrepreneur, and now you're going to be able to get your ducks in a row by actually fixing any debt problems you have, getting your mortgage, right? So you're getting your credit up to get your mortgages, or to get, a better car, something more stable and reliable. And that is really the focus for the next 30 years, is just putting down your roots. With this progression, you may overindulge in alcohol and drugs. You could even have like a sugar addiction, or something to do with some things that you ingest. And Pisces is it's much more susceptible to health problems than, say, a natal sun in Taurus. You can like zen out through Taurus practices like gardening and cooking and things like that. This is just a real nice time for you to lean back a little bit. So in the beginning of the progression, you're going to want to put those structures in place, like the steady paycheck, set up your investments, make sure your 401k is where it needs to be, and get your home in order. And then you can kind of rest back into the routines that you've put in place. If you are an Aquarius and you live to a ripe age, you will experience a sun progression into Taurus. So it's going to be in your golden years, and it could be anywhere from your 60s up to 90, depending on where you were born in Aquarius season. When you went through your Pisces, you learned to be more emotional and connected to humanity. When you went through your Aries, you learned to be more self-centered, really, which you need, and assertive. And now it's getting back to the same fixed energy of your natural sign. So this can be a time where Aquarians really dig in and get kind of stubborn and opinionated. Taurus becomes very fixed and kind of rigid in their thinking because it's all about values for Taurus. And values means beliefs. And Aquarius already has plenty of beliefs. So if you have values that you have really worked on throughout your life, then you will just feel like now is the time that you can be the pillar that everybody needs in the community. This is also a time for you, if you haven't focused on it in the past, to focus on your literal value in life, like your money, your real estate, your investment portfolio. At this point, you would have already set up what you're going to set up, but you might actually find yourself really enjoying finance and really like watching the fruits of any of your investments that have grown throughout the years, because now is the time where you're going to be reaping those benefits. And if it wasn't interesting to you in the past because you don't have a lot of earth in your chart or second house stuff, now is the time where you might actually be really interested, and because it's the legacy you're going to leave. This is also the time where you decide what your legacy is to leave to the world in general. So anything that you have been wanting to say, now is the time to materialize it. It might be the time that you finally finish the book that you've been meaning to finish for like years. This is the time where you get to enjoy everything. So this is a time where Aquarius gets to lie back, enjoy the sensual pleasures of life, garden, enjoy the fruits of your labor, like literally the fruits of your garden, the vegetables, cooking, enjoying, like maybe becoming more of a food or a wine connoisseur, enjoying that kind of stuff, just the quiet nights by the fire maybe. This is just your retirement years. You might actually have trouble retiring if you go into this in your 60s, because Taurus loves to work and it doesn't like change. So you might be that Aquarius if you go in your 60s that just like doesn't want to give up their work. Taurus just cannot stand not having a routine, not working. That's when Taurus falls into the pitfalls of overindulgence and overspending. And you can also get kind of heavy during this time. Now, there's only a few Capricorns that are going to get to this progression. So you have to be a later in the season Capricorn, someone who was born at the very end of Capricorn season, and you have to live into your 90s. So the Capricorn that gets here is going back to Earth energy. Aries progression, you were already in your golden years, and most Capricorns that live a long time are going to end their life during that progression. So this is almost like going a step further. It's almost like a little bit more of a spiritual circle. Capricorn is very concerned about like earthly stuff, but all of the stuff that is hierarchical, right? It's not concerned about the earth the way the Taurus energy is, just like earth, what the earth creates. It's concerned about money, but it's not money for stability. It's money for power and social standing. Status is very important to Capricorn. This full circle is when Capricorn realizes that kind of like status was always an illusion. Capricorn in the early stages of life doesn't have a lot of enjoyment, right? It's all about focus, work, ascension, gaining ground, going up that mountain. At this point, Capricorn starts to realize like, wow, food tastes just as good whether I'm like at the bottom of the mountain or at the top of the mountain. This is like the great spiritual circle from earth to earth. If you have the sun progressing through your second house, regardless of what house system you're using or what sign it's in, this is a time where you're going to be focused much more on security, on your values, both your inner values and your outer stuff that's valuable, and particularly on real estate. When you go through this progression, I almost guarantee you, as long as you're of an age to purchase real estate, you're going to purchase real estate. This is also a progression of building and constructing. So I don't know what you'll be building. You might actually be building properties, or you might be building your worth, but it is a building phase of life. This is when we want to focus on building our portfolios, and it's long-term stuff. This is not an energy of like gambling. This is an energy of what is tried and true, what will keep me grounded, what are my values. So this is very much a solidifying what the first house represents. The first house is the self and the body. The second house is like the preservation of the body and the materialization of what the self represents. Not only security in your life situation, but securities, like actual securities, like financial securities, are very significant during a progression through your second house. You may also have a change up, especially at the beginning of this progression, of your actual values. So what you value in life, what you found to be valuable. Oftentimes we find that reflected in the people in our life, like our friends. And then when we have a solar progression, our friend group can shift as our values are reestablished and reevaluated. And we may find that because we're entering a new phase of life, like we don't value people who are exciting and adventurous and like spontaneous anymore. We value people that are we can rely on, that are more practical. So you're going to see a sort of shift in the beginning and a reevaluation of values, and then you're going to start building a life based on those values. You can find yourself becoming materialistic, or at least exploring the concept of materialism. So some of you will actually experience the opposite. If you have found that you have a lot of stuff and a lot of possessions, you may start reevaluating whether you actually want to keep all of this stuff and what it means to you. You might go through a minimalism phase during this. Do I really want to retain all this, or is my energy and my space and my time worth more to me? Do I want to liquidate this stuff instead so that I have more freedom? It all depends on what your values are. That's where it begins. But the relationship between values and your possessions is going to be key right now. This is also a time where you want more order in your life. So you'll need a little bit more structure, more routine. Just everything needs to be a little bit more orderly and a little bit less like up in the air, spontaneous, like creative projects everywhere. Whatever you were doing during your progression through your first house, it's just going to need to be more grounded at this point. So that's Sun progressed through Taurus and through the second house. If you guys have any questions or comments, or you're going through this progression right now, I would love to hear what your story is. So please leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you get more videos like this. And please give me a like if you enjoyed this. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.